Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Let's just give it a couple of minutes here for everyone to roll in. That was quite the talk by Eleanor. Really resonated with that. A lot of things that she was saying. I was just nodding my head. I was like, yep, 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 taking notes. And that was pretty good. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. Let me know down in the comments of this stream, what you thought about Eleanor's talk. I'm just getting going here, getting full spectrum on the screen here to make sure that I can monitor any of the conversation that's happening there as well. Aloha, what's up, guys? So tonight's conversation is going to be really fascinating. We're just going to carry on pretty much from what Eleanor was talking about to doing this here tonight. So I'm going to be talking about the different layers of the human consciousness and consciousness in general, and then afterwards going to do a workshop on the mantra, right? So, we're going to discover that and explore that a little bit and see how that can really help us to, hone in our meditation and our higher consciousness on a daily basis. Hi, Keith. Nice to see you, brother. Thanks for being here. My restriction from YouTube was lifted here this morning. So it's been a bit of a holiday here, but not really been doing some back bench work and stuff like that, and just catching up really. So it's a gift from the universe. So thank you, YouTube, for blocking me for a week, but all good. So guys, I just got to remind you that again, YouTube gave us a option of getting members onto our channel, and I shared the link right there in the comments. I'd appreciate it if you guys will join. There's some perks and stuff that are involved in that. That really helps out the channel because we're already a bit shadow banned, and also this helps us financially to reach out to high caliber guests that want to get paid for their time. So it really helps the whole community in general. So thank you if you join. Thank you if not. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your support. Please subscribe down below and hit that bell so that you know when we're going live and when we are going to stream some interesting stuff. So, do you need a card for that? I'm not quite sure. Hi, King of Kings. How you doing, brother? Thanks for being here. King Keith Baker is here. Right on. Thanks for being here, guys. Please share the stream out and help us out. Nice, right on. I love it, love it, love it. Hello, Matthew M. Thanks for being here, brother. Really appreciate your support. This is going to be a good one here tonight. Keith, I don't know what you mean by do I need a card for that? I don't know. Maybe you can elaborate down in the comments and maybe I'll know what you're saying. So tonight's conversation and tonight's presentation is really based on different forms of consciousness, right? Like there's I don't think people understand what consciousness is, right? One is that we are awake, right? We're in this physical form and we are awake. And then there is the consciousness that is the greater consciousness to which we belong. But here in this flat plane that we're in this body that you can see because light hits it, we are just simply awake and we're trying to reach into our, what do you call it, into our consciousness, into higher forms of consciousness and different forms of consciousness, because consciousness doesn't go on and off. It's just constantly going, and our thoughts create the reality that we observe into play. A debit card, yeah, I think so. There may be other ways of doing it, Keith. I'm not really quite sure. Good pal, how's you? Good. I'm doing fantastic, King. I'm just glad that you're here and everyone is here. So, and then we're going to do a little bit of exploration on that. And then later on in this presentation, we're going to do a workshop and to learn what Om is, all the aspects, different aspects of the Om symbol, if you're looking at it to meditate, or if you're visualizing it in your mind when you're meditating. There's aspects and levels of that that we're going to explore tonight. So hopefully you enjoy, and like I said, please share the stream with whom you think will benefit from this information tonight, and let me know in the comments on what you guys are thinking, and I'll try to respond to those comments as well. And so let's get this going. So bring this on the stream here and go full screen. Let me know in the comments if you guys can hear this audio that I'm about to play. Let's bring ourselves into focus for this presentation. All right, that was good. Got my mind focused. Hopefully it helped you guys focus your mind as well. So let's look at an individual state of awareness, the ability to experience human consciousness, mind body dichotomy. Now, we're going to try to explore this from different angles. And then as we progress in the presentation, we're going to get more esoteric and more spiritual, so to say. So, consciousness is an individual's state of awareness of their environment, thoughts, feelings, or sensations. In order to experience consciousness, one must be both awake and aware. Consciousness is the quality or state of being aware of an external object or something within oneself, such as thoughts, feelings, memories, or sensations. It has also been defined in the following ways: sentience, awareness, subjectivity, the ability to experience or to feel, wakefulness, having a sense of selfhood, and the executive control system of the mind. For over 2,000 years, questions surrounding human consciousness, such as how the everyday inner workings of our brains give rise to a single cohesive reality and a sense of an individual self, have been baffling philosophers from Plato to Descartes. Descartes is noted for his dualistic theory of consciousness, in which the physical body is separate from the immaterial mind. He also gave us the most famous summary of human consciousness: I think, therefore I am. The historical materialism of Karl Marx rejects the mind dichotomy and holds that consciousness is endangered by the material contingencies of one's environment. John Locke, another early philosopher, claimed that consciousness and therefore personal identity are independent of all substances. He pointed out that there is no reason to assume that consciousness is tied to any particular body or mind, or that consciousness cannot be transferred from one body or mind to another. American psychologist William James compared consciousness to a stream of unbroken and continuous despite constant shifts and changes. Today, the primary focus of consciousness research is on understanding what consciousness means both biologically and psychologically. It questions what it means for information to be present in consciousness and seeks to determine the neural and psychological correlates of consciousness. Issues of interest include phenomena such as perception, subliminal perception, blind sight, insomnia, brain waves during sleep, and altered states of consciousness produced by psychoactive drugs or spiritual or meditative techniques. First appearing in the historical records of the ancient Mayan and Incan civilization, various theories of multiple levels of consciousness have pervaded spiritual, psychological, medical, and moral speculations in both Eastern and Western cultures. Consciousness can be defined as human awareness to both internal and external stimuli. Because of occasional and sometimes substantial overlap between hypotheses, there have recently been attempts to combine perspectives to form new models that integrate components of separate viewpoints. The ancient Mayans were among the first to propose an organized sense of each level of consciousness it proposes and its temporal connection to humankind. Because consciousness incorporates stimuli from the environment as well as internal stimuli, the Mayans believed it to be the most basic form of existence capable of evolution. The Incas, however, considered consciousness a progression not only of awareness, but of concerns for others as well. Now, John Locke is a 17th century philosopher, was one of the first to speak and write on consciousness. He believed that our identity was tied to our consciousness, which he essentially defined as what passes through a man's mind or memories. He also asserted that our consciousness is not tied to our physical bodies and that it can survive even after our physical body dies. In fact, Locke held that consciousness could be transferred from one soul to another. Now, who is John Locke? John Locke was an English philosopher and physician widely regarded as one of the most influential of Enlightenment thinkers and commonly known as the father of liberalism. So, in his day, he was a pretty important guy, and I guess he still is. His work is widely still studied, right? So, Rene Descartes is also addressed the idea of consciousness in the 17th century. He set out to answer the question of how it is possible that our consciousness, a non physical thing, can come from our bodies. A physical thing. The explanation he came up with called Cartesian dualism. In short, consciousness resides within an immaterial domain he called res cogitans, the realm of thought, in contrast to the domain of material things, which he called the realm of extension. He suggested that the interaction between these two domains occur inside the brain. Now, who is Rene Descartes? Rene Descartes was a French philosopher, mathematician, and scientist who invented analytic geometry, linking the previously separate fields of geometry and algebra. He spent a large portion of his working life in the Dutch Republic, initially serving the Dutch state army of Maurice of Nassau, Prince of Orange, and stadtholder of the United Provinces, one of the most notable intellectual figures of the Dutch Golden Age. Descartes was also widely regarded as one of the founders of modern philosophy. Now, everyone knows this guy, Sigmund Freud, right? So, Sigmund Freud is, while Eastern perspectives on consciousness have remained relatively stable over the centuries, fluctuations in theory have come to define the Western perspective. One of the most popular Western theories is that of Sigmund Freud, medical doctor and father of psychoanalytic theory. Freud divided human consciousness into three levels of awareness: the conscious, preconscious, and unconscious. Each of these levels corresponds and overlaps with Freud's idea of the id ego and superego, the great big me. The conscious level consists of all the things we are aware of, including things we know about ourselves and our surroundings. The preconscious consists of things we could pay conscious attention to if we so desired, and is where many memories are stored for easy retrieval. Freud also saw the preconscious as comprised of thoughts that are unconscious at the particular moment in question, but that are not repressed and are therefore available for recall and easily capable of becoming conscious. For example, the tip of the tongue effect. The unconscious consists of things that are outside of conscious awareness, including many memories, thoughts, and urges of which we are not aware. Much of what is stored in the unconscious is thought to be unpleasant or conflicting. For example, sexual impulses that are deemed unacceptable while these elements are stored out of our awareness, and they are nevertheless thought to influence our behavior. And that's pretty true. When you have a word on your mind, and like said, the tip of the tongue effect, where this memory is there but you just having a hard time expressing it, right? So there is that realm, and I've hypothesized on that before, where our memories are stored in the ether, and then because our brain and our entire avatar is a antenna, it is connected to that ether, and we have the ability to access it for more information than just our memory. And perhaps that's the genetic tinkering that's happened over the past few thousand years that's caused us to move away from that connection with the ether, where we could be telepathic and telekinesis and have that ability to just instantly go into a higher state of consciousness. Now, in the traditional yoga meditation, reality expresses or manifests itself in four levels of consciousness and three domains of consciousness. Four levels of consciousness are waking conscious and gross level. Second is dreaming, unconscious, and subtle level. And the third is deep sleep, subconscious, casual level. Consciousness, absolute, and fourth level. That is the fourth level. That's the absolute consciousness. That's what we would define as the god consciousness, which you become part of. So the three domains of consciousness are states of consciousness, states of mind, and states of manifestation. Now we're going to talk about that a little bit later when we do our because all of that is like really connected. Now, when I was saying earlier, there's a difference between being conscious and being awake, right? All of us are awake, but we can clearly see with our eyes that there's a whole lot of people that are not, conscious. They're not, you know what I'm saying? They're not around. The obvious is not very obvious to them, so they're sound asleep. So consciousness is totally different than just simply being awake and being this monotonous avatar that goes through his daily routine of eat and sleep, eat and sleep, eat and sleep, and excrete, and eat and sleep and excrete, and things like that. But there's a level of consciousness that we strive to connect to. This is why all of us are here in this stream talking about this kind of stuff, because we strive to reach that higher state and that higher level of consciousness. So there's totally difference between the two. So I hope people really take that into consideration when they're talking about consciousness, and being aware of that level of consciousness is what I'm meaning to say. Like they're in so the king of them come here to the comments. So the king of kings, kind of robotic. Yeah, exactly. Right. And Keith Baker, like they're in type of psychosis. Yeah, exactly. Like just very robotic, like King said, and involved in this a trance, right? Like snake charmer and a snake deal, where the snake is like totally charmed, or in that psychosis, in that state of mind. And that's what I feel that most of humanity right now is at. But thankfully there's a lot of people that are waking up, such as, like I said, people here in this stream watching us here on Watchers Talk and on Full Spectrum Universe, that are striving to understand what consciousness is, so that they can you know achieve that consciousness in their own life. And that's the point of tonight's stream, to share this knowledge with everyone, and help them become aware of those next levels of consciousness, because we're already, we're awake and we are at a certain conscious level, all of us. But now that state of consciousness is just not enough, because we want to get to that next level now, and from that level to the next level and next level. And really the end goal is to break this incarnation cycle that we're involved in. And that's like really connected to Shiva, of nothing, because right, it's a no thing. And that's where really where the fourth level of consciousness is where nothing is, because everything manifests from the nothing. So let's jump into the comments here real quick before I go into this. King of Kings, trying to put it without being too negative to them. Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, wake up, everyone. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be negative, and I'm trying to leave that vibration and that type of karma and type of thinking behind, and just really progress forward with a new level of thinking, and a new level of consciousness as well, because I'm aware of different levels and I want to become those levels, to beat the chess game, like Eleanor said. Yeah, exactly, like she was saying. And also, she was saying we manifest everything out of nothing, right? Energy can be manifested, it can't be destroyed, it just can be manipulated, and that's it, right? So, we when we go into that higher state of consciousness of manifestation, the things that we need will manifest themselves for us. But the things that we want and we desire just will not, because consciousness doesn't work like that, right? Consciousness only works on the level of what you need to survive on this planet. And having $1 million and you know a Rolls Royce is nice to have, but it's not a necessity. So the consciousness is not going to work at that level. But I'm sure you can manifest those types of wants and needs once you get higher in control of your own consciousness and aware of your consciousness, and then you can manifest anything that you want. Right, so the Om mantra is a roadmap for sadhana, right? Spiritual practices written as either AUM or OM. Now let's listen to this again, to the Om. And actually, let's just hold on here before we listen to the Om again. It is not for the person who seeks only the shallow waters of spiritual life, but rather for those who strive to realize in direct experience the depth of the absolute reality. There are four main levels of consciousness outlined in the Om mantra, along with the three transition levels, which is a total of 7 levels. Each of these is experienced on the inner journey of meditation and contemplation. So, what does sadhana mean? Right, sadhana is a Sanskrit term used to refer to a daily spiritual practice. Sadhana represents a disciplined surrendering of the ego, in which the practitioner uses tools such as asana, pranayama, meditation, and chanting on a daily basis. Now, say chanting, because what chanting does is chanting creates a vibrational distortion within you from top to bottom, and it creates a certain type of frequency, and it depends on the chant that you're chanting. And later on, we're going to listen to different forms of chanting and different forms of chant mantras across different cultures across the world, to show you as a example that there are different forms of bringing yourself into a centered stage within yourself, and clean your body at the same time with that vibration, which will clear out your chakras from your head to your toe, pretty much from your crown to your root, because that vibration, it's sinking you in with the resonant frequency of the earth, which is, of course, a Schumann resonance. So when you're vibrating at the same vibration as the earth is, then your chakra system begins to come into alignment. Excuse me. it begins to come into alignment, and then from there, from daily meditation and earthing and such, you can clean out your energy that you've either been holding on to or is just attached to you, and you recycle that with new energy, and thus all this chanting and vibrations and all these ohms and stuff, that's what they're designed to do, is clear all that up. Sadhana is also a means of a forging a ritual connection with God or universal energy. So, forging a ritual connection that, God is yourself, because you're an expression of that God energy, of that God expression. So really, you're connecting with yourself. So you're, forging a ritual connection with yourself, where you say, okay, every day, at 6 o'clock in the evening or 7 o'clock in the evening, I'm going to sit down for 15 minutes and I'm going to chant, or I'm going to or I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do something like that in order to raise my awareness. So you're making a promise and a connection with yourself. It encourages the practitioner, known as the sadhaka, to use self discipline in order to achieve power over the ego and maintain connection with universal oneness. It's like I was saying earlier, the difference between the want and the need, right? The want is connected to the ego. It's the ego that wants the $1 million. It's the ego that wants the Rolls Royce. It's the ego that wants a mansion, which you're only going to use 10% of. You know what I'm saying? With regular daily practice, the practitioner continuously realigns his or her inner self, slowly progressing toward the very ultimate expression of consciousness known as the samadhi, which is kind of like a trance, right? So, when I used to be able to do this, and then, and then I stopped for a while, and then now I'm trying to get back into it. But before, when I would meditate, I would lose entire connection with my whole body. I would feel myself drop, and prior to that, I would, snap out of it when I felt myself drop through the floor, and I would get scared and wake up. But after a while, I just overcame that fear and went for that drop. And what happened after that was I would lose total control of my body, like the sensation of my body. I wouldn't feel my body anymore, but I would just feel my consciousness and my awareness. And I would go into this very quiet place, and then that's where I would contemplate and manifest things for myself, because the things that I needed, I would think about those, because in meditation you just allow the thoughts to come and go, to come and go. Most people try to fight the thoughts, right? They're like, oh, no thoughts, no thoughts, no thoughts, but they're really fighting themselves. So there's no need for that. Allow the thoughts to come in and allow the thoughts to come out, and eventually all those thoughts will regress through you, and then they'll stop coming, and then you can go into that quiet place in your mind and into that next level of consciousness, where you can begin to progress towards the oneness. Let's jump into some comments over here. Having it here. The Beats chess game, like Eleanor said. Keith is asking, what is earthing? So Keith, what is earthing is that like walking on the beach barefoot, walking on your lawn barefoot, or just sitting in your lawn or at a park barefoot, as long as you're in contact with the earth, right? You can create a earth mat as well, where you can, during the summer or at fall, you can go out and collect a bunch of leaves and stems and things like that. Maybe some ritual based herbs and stuff like that, and put them into some sort of a bag, maybe a pillowcase. And in winter time, if it's like winter outside and cold and -30 and there's nowhere to earth, then you can just simply just like put your feet on that mat or sit on that mat, because you're in contact with the earth and you have that earth energy. Because everything has memory. Even because that leaf is decayed and dying, it doesn't necessarily mean it's lost its energy or its memory of what it is. And when you sit on that, or when you come into contact with that, it transfers that thought and that memory and that energy to you, and it helps the avatar keep itself clean and it cleanse itself. It's been known to bring down blood pressure and things like that. So it's very healthy. Give it a shot if you can. So King of Kings. Grounding, like walking on earth without shoes on, or maybe hugging a tree. Yeah, exactly. Go hug a, go hug a local tree. I have a I have a favorite tree that I go to, but it's in somebody's yard, so I go and park across the street, and I resonate with that tree because that tree is always filled with small birds that are always singing, and their songs are incredible. And sometimes I sit there in my car and I meditate, and after about 10-15 minutes I take off. So hopefully those people don't think that I'm creeping them out or anything like that. I think I've said that before here on the channel. um, Matthew M says, I have some old trees in my backyard. I earthed to magnetic poles yesterday through my feet. Beautiful, Matt. That's the way to do it, brother. Just keep it up, brother. Keep that up. Keith Baker, he says, okay, I guess I already do that all the time. I guess that's why everyone calls me a hippie. Haha, that's a great tag to have, a hippie, because hippies are aware and they're consciously aware. So that's cool, brother. I'm glad to hear you do that. Matthew said, used to work on the beach. There you go. That's earthing all day long. It was a lifeguard. Ocean was the best place for earthing for me. Yeah, absolutely. You got the water energy, the earth energy, the sky energy. Almost all the elements are there. So that's perfect. Tuning in. I'm always barefoot, saying what I'm thinking. Yeah, beautiful. Don't stop expressing yourself. Doesn't matter if somebody likes it or not, right? As long as you express yourself, that's your right as a human being. So let's jump into the next slide here. So the meaning of the symbol, not only does the sound vibration of Om represent the four levels of consciousness, so does the visual symbol. Now, you guys might recall, I don't know if you guys ever seen this, but maybe after this video is over, you can go back in in my video archives and check out a video called the 7-hour session I did on Saturn, the false perception, and in it I talk about symbolism and what these symbols do and what they mean and the energy that the symbols represents and how that energy is harnessed, by nefarious forces and some other forces as well. So, but I don't want to really get into that. That's very long. But so to say is that a symbol expresses a vibration or a frequency, and the frequency represents a symbol. Like you guys probably have seen a lot of videos where they throw a bunch of, some salt on a flat piece of a metal plate, and then they apply sound to it, and it makes certain geometrical images with each different sound. So that's because that sound is connected to that symbol, and that symbol is connected to the sound. And if you focus your energy on that symbol, then you can harness energy and vibration from that symbol, and that's kind of what are doing. So the lower curve represents the gross conscious waking state level called Vishvanara. Now, Vishvanara is this, like the waking state that I've been talking about, where this desire is at, right? Where we want things, and where the ego is mostly in control of our day to day activity. The center curve represents the subtle, unconscious, and dreaming level called Tejasa. Right now, that curve there is, not only just dreaming, but that also happens when you're in a state of daydreaming. Sometimes you wander off in your thoughts. You're sitting there, you're like, and then you just disappear for a few minutes. Or when you're in a meditative state of mind, you go into that state of mind, of that dream state, right? That's why the Aborigines in Australia call this reality the dream world, because we're dreaming this into place with our full consciousness, because really in this avatar we're an expression of the infinite consciousness, or the cosmic consciousness, the God consciousness, whatever you want to call it, right? The creator of all things, right? The upper curve represents the casual, subconscious, and deep sleep level called prajna, right? That's I wish I had my dot on, but I'm sure you guys can follow the that little curve right underneath the dot, right? And that's the subconscious, right? That's where people say that the subconscious is connected to the law of attraction, right? Because in that subconscious state of mind, right, like the subconscious doesn't know the difference between stupid and dumb, right? So when you say that, oh, I'm so stupid or I'm so dumb, then the consciousness doesn't realize that. And consciousness, what it does is it tries to take that energy of that word and tries to express that. And then through the law of attraction, it attracts that type of energy so that it can express what you're saying to yourself. So if you say, "Oh, I'm so ugly," right, then your consciousness, this level of consciousness that you're not aware of, begins to manifest things that are not beneficial for you, right? Because that state of consciousness is always on, and it's how you manipulate that level of consciousness is where the manifestation is really is, right? Because if you're thinking negative, then negative things will happen, and if you're thinking positive, then positive things will happen, right? So the ultimate goal of our meditative state, when we go into a meditative state, is to get into that, that extreme level of consciousness. It reminds me of I'm sure you guys know who Sadhguru is. He's a mystic from India. He talked about where one time he went into a meditative state of mind, and he remained there for 13 days, and then people were coming up and asking him questions and such, and he was confused as to why they were asking him. And he thought that he was only in that state of mind for about 25-30 minutes, but he actually sat there for like 13 days, right? Without food, without water, without anything. He just like kind of just, he went into that state of mind. And that's where, he was in that dot. He was in that extreme state of consciousness, right? So the dot point, or the bindu, represents the fourth state, the absolute consciousness, which encompasses and permeates and is the other three, and is called the Turiya. Yeah, the silence after AU and the M of the Om mantra. That's what the dot is. So you know how you go Om, and then there's a silence between your next Om, right? That's called the Bindu, right? That's the absolute level of consciousness. That's the fourth state of consciousness, but there's dimensions within those consciousnesses as well. The arc below the dot symbolizes the separateness of this fourth state, standing above, though ever remaining part of the other three. Piercing the bindu finally allows one to attain the highest experience, and this comes after following the process of a Kundalini awakening. Right, so the Kundalini awakening is also known as the Christ consciousness, or that that extreme awakening where you're in contact and with. I would describe it as outside of the linear time, and you're observing everything, where you're separated from all, but that all is still part of you. It's like I was saying earlier, when before I would go into a state of meditation, I would lose entire control or entire sensation of my avatar, and I would go into that state of mind where I was in this consciousness where everything was quiet. I had no thought. I had absolutely nothing. It was just quiet. Now, I don't think I was in that in the Bindu state, but I was somewhere up there in that higher state of awareness, because I knew I was laying there, but I didn't feel myself. But again, I was somewhere else as well, and whatever I visualized in my mind, it would just pop up in my mind like instantly. It's kind of like the speed of consciousness, right? Different texts and teachings might use different names for different characteristics at these four levels. For example, Vairat, Hinran, Yagharaba, Ishwara, and Brahman, as well as Vishvanara, Tajisa, Prajana, and Turiya. These are the different uh, labels that we've given the Om symbol. So let's come over here. Let me jump over here to the comments real fast, guys. Check out what you guys are saying. That's the one. Keith Baker was on tip of my tongue. I watch him a lot. Harmonics. Yep. Harmonics. I saw that video of Sadhguru. That's pretty intense. Yeah, isn't it, Keith? That guy is pretty intense guy too. I listen to him a lot. One of my favorite mystics, I would say. Alan Watts as well. I would say Alan Watts is like my the favorite. Some amazing minds to listen to and to learn from. So the seven states of consciousness in Om mantra are three states of consciousness. Each of the three sounds of A, U, M, the A symbolizes the A and the U and the M symbolizes specific states of consciousness. It's like I was saying, the Bindu, right? Where, you know, that's separate from everything else, but yet it's ever present, right? That's the consciousness that's working for you. Fourth state of after those three parts of the Om, there is a silence. The fourth, which relates to consciousness or awareness itself, right? That's the Bindu that I was just talking about. Between these four states of consciousness, there are three transition states. These levels exist universally. It is important to be aware that these levels of consciousness are realities that exist universally, regardless if one uses the Om mantra or the visual Om symbol in any way. In any case, the underlying principles are useful for all seekers in purifying or clearing the mind and seeking the direct experience of deeper truths. Right. So, as I was saying earlier, you can use the symbol or you can train yourself to internally remember what means, right? So it's it's a separation of your personalities, so to say. When you're in that state of mind, when you begin to go into that state of mind, it's not going to be instant, because it's never instant. It takes a little while, and like I said, there will be thoughts that come in and come go, and don't fight those thoughts, because when those thoughts are happening, allow them to come in and they will disappear, and then whatever thoughts that need to resonate with you, whatever the message is, will remain, and then your consciousness will allow you to focus in on that particular message, to make yourself better, to elevate yourself for your own awareness. It is important to know that Om mantra is very often used in conjunction with other mantras, usually with the Om being the first or last sound in the whole mantra. Often, these other mantras refer to a specific deity or name of God. Some practitioners consider the Om to literally refer to only one such name of God or deity. Still, other practitioners believe the Om refers to some different God or deity. For those born into such religious cultures, these diversities of use of Oms is well known and does not cause confusion, while also being aware that there may be discourse or debates supporting one view or another. Now, regardless of the corruption of the of human mind, when it comes to how we have labeled God, how we've put it into like this container and have defined what it is, and then worship it, is open to question and is open to debate. But what's not open to debate, is the ever omnipresent of consciousness. It's always there, right? Because we can see it through you and I. Let me just quickly check this message, guys. I'm waiting for my wife. Just give me 1 second here, guys, and I will be just right back. Okay, so where were we? Somebody want to remind me? Um, it is important to know that Om is okay. Gone through that. Okay, we're on to our next slide. So now I'm going to, have a look over here to, we're going to listen to different mantras, okay? But we're not going to do it here right now. We'll just do it here in a couple of minutes. I'll check the comments and I'll do the notes. And if anyone's interested in these, sound clips that I'm about to play, let me know, and I'll share those in the comments so that you can listen to those on a full bass, the entire sound clip. So others who are not familiar with this will benefit by becoming aware that there are a variety of ways of using the Om mantra. This leaves it a matter of personal choice how the Om mantra will be used. Regardless of how one uses the mantra, there is a universal truth that the vibration of Om will be experienced in the inner journey. In that sense, it's not a mere belief or a symbolic tool belonging to any one group or groups. Similarly, the existence of waking, dreaming, sleep, and that beyond are also universal realities, right? So the consciousness is shared with all of us, right? So there's not like this Om mantra is not just to one group of people, because as I was saying earlier in the beginning of this cast, that chanting and the Om mantra is the same thing. So when you're chanting in a particular way, it raises a particular type of distortion within you, within your avatar. And if you change that sound bite up within yourself, then that vibration or that distortion within you will also change, right? And giving you a different experience of that particular vibration. Excuse me, let me grab a drink. So I will play about a couple of minutes of each of these mantras, and then if you guys want, I see that you want the links, so I'll be more than happy to put these links into the comments. So before I play that, let's see what's going on over here. Alan Watts is superb. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, please share. Yeah, absolutely. Watchers talk. Yeah, that would be great. Full tone clips, bring them on. Awesome, awesome, brothers. Yeah, absolutely. I will paste that. So let me bring this one up here. So, but let me know if you guys can hear the audio on this. I'm sure you can, but just let me know. So that was pretty cool. That's one of the chants that I was talking about. If you're like there in person, or if you're chanting like that in your own home, or in privacy, or wherever you are, then those chantings, they create a certain vibration within you, and especially when you're in a group, right? When you have the drums playing, the energy, and somebody singing and chanting, and that really creates a particular type of energy and vibration within the collective at that moment. I've been to a few powwows where I've seen this, and I've really felt it within myself as well. Right. So now let's take a look at the Vedic mantras for positive energy. Now notice that this is an Om that's done a little bit differently.
ब्रह्मन् ब्राह्मणो ब्रह्मवर्चसी जायतामास्मिन् राष्ट्रे राजन्यतिशव्यः शूरो महारथो जायताम् दोग्ध्रीधेनुर्वोढा नट्वा नाशुः सत्यः पुरन्धिर्योषा जिष्णोरथेष्ठाः सवेयो युवास्य यजमानस्य वीरो जायतान्निकामे निकामेन पर्जन्यो वर्षतु हरिण्यो न ओषधयः पच्यन्तान् योगक्षेमो नः कल्पताम् तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् युवा कुहिषजीना युवा कुसुमतीनाम् भूयावाजदाम्नाम् त्वमग्र पुरुषं साय भागते स्पार्हयद्रेक्नः परमं मनोषि तत् आर्द्रस्य चित्प्रभातिरुच्यसे पिता प्रपाकंशास्य प्रदिशो विदुष्टरः ऋतस्य प्रेषा ऋतस्य धीतिर्विश्वायुर्विश्वे अपांसि चक्रुः यस्तुभ्यन्दाशाद्यो मा हे शिक्षात् तस्मै जिघित्वान्द्रयिन्दयस्व भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवा भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवांसस्तनोभिर्व्यसेम देवहि तय्यदायुः तं पृच्छता स जगामास वेदसचीभित्वाम् ईयते सान्वीयते तस्मिन् सन्ति प्रशिशस्तस्मिन् निष्ठयाः स वाचस्य शवसः शुष्मिणस्पतिः.
All right, so you guys saw the difference, and again, this creates a different type of energy and different type of vibration within you when you chant these. The next time, I'll keep in mind that when I do another presentation like this, I will try to get the translation of what they're saying, so that maybe you can and myself can learn that those chants and those stories in our mind, and we can chant those in our own minds. So I'm going to try and do that for you guys. Thank you very much, Matt Daly, M Daly, new member. Really, thank you. I really appreciate it, and thank you for your support, brother. Love you very much. All right, now let's jump into some sacred chants of Tibet. And notice how, when we're going through these, your own vibration and your energy is changing and is adapting to these frequencies and these vibrations. Take notice of like your own avatar, what you feel when you listen to this. And also, I am, sharing the links to these full sound clips on YouTube. So keep an eye out for that as well. Notice how they're doing this from their center. It's coming from their solar plexus. That's pretty cool. Notice how these vibrations are different, how there's different styles of chanting, and there's different styles of ahming, there's different styles of just using your throat chakra to change your vibration and to change your frequency. Here's a druid chant. Let's have a listen to this one. So that was pretty awesome. Notice, guys, how the difference, one is calm, the other one, it was like almost medium energy. Let me just jump over here, see what's going on. Yeah, Gauze is super cool. Yeah, heads up. I'm gonna try to have Gauze on this weekend with White Buffalo on Saturday, American Day, and Sunday in Australia. Just to let you guys know, probably turn out to be a marathon again. Got hopefully we can get White Buffalo on. If that's the case, I think it might turn into like a 10-12 hour day, because last time we went 6 hours with Brother Gauze. So now let's check this one out. I really like this one. I put this in here because, to represent the Australian culture and the Aborigines, and to also show that their chants and their singing also creates a different form of, or not, I shouldn't say different, but creates the same form of vibrational state. Because there's many ways, right? Like all roads lead to Moscow, they say, right? So there's a lot of different avenues and different methods and different roads that we can take into achieving this higher consciousness. So let's check this one out. I found this one was really super awesome. So that's pretty cool. I like that when they got the didgeridoo in there, because that helps create a form of vibration as well that you can connect to, just like the American natives and Canadian natives when they play the drum. It's I feel it's the same thing. Now this one right here is one of my favorites, called the Welcome Song. It's the Australian Welcome Song, and this one here, when I listen to it, it really resonates with me. It really creates a loving feeling inside of me, which in itself, is a vibration. So, but let's have a listen to this.
Andaringa Dorandinga Domandinga Welcome.
So that was pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think in the comments while I bring this up. Now, the whole point of that whole exercise was to show that there are different ways and different forms of chanting and alming to raise the next level of awareness and eventually into consciousness. As I was saying earlier, there's a difference between being awake and being aware than being conscious. And, there's different forms of consciousness, of course, and different layers of them that we interact with on a daily basis. And sometimes we're not even aware of what we're doing, but that's all consciously based. And I would say 90% of our decisions are not made by our conscious mind, but in fact is made by our subconscious mind. So, in the yogic understanding, there are 16 dimensions to the human mind. Using 16 dimensions extracted from the psychological literature as a starting point for developing a theory of mental state representation: positive, negative, high arousal, low arousal, warmth, competence, agency, experience, emotion, reason, mind, body, social, non social, shared, and unique. These 16 dimensions fall into four categories. These four categories are known as buddhi, manas, ankara, and chitta. So we're going to get into that now. So these are, the different levels of our different dimensions. Like I was saying, there's things that we're aware of. There's things that we're not aware of. That's why they did subliminal advertising back in the day. If you remember, they would play if you played a Led Zeppelin record backwards, or if you played an Iron Maiden record backwards, who is it? The Beatles. That's a famous one as well. That there are subliminal messages in there, and sometimes flashes on the screen too. I think I read something about subliminal messages at the Super Bowl a bunch of years back, but don't quote me on that. I could be totally wrong, but I thought I heard something like that. But like I said, don't quote me on it. If you find something on it, let me know. I'd be happy to entertain that idea and see what's going on with that. So, what does buddhi mean? Buddhi is a Sanskrit term derived from the root buddha, which means to know or to be awake. Therefore, buddhi refers to intellect, wisdom, and the power of the mind to understand and analyze. Buddhi, or the intellect, cannot function without a certain bank of memory or data. Depending on the data you have, the intellect plays around. The intellect is a sharper buddhi, more intelligent than the next person. Right now, there's a difference between intellect and intelligence, but we're not going to get into that. That's something different altogether. The buddhi will not take you beyond limits in any way because it can only function based on the data that is already there. It is not capable of accessing anything beyond that. So meaning that, let's take a person's life experience into two different people's life experience into factor. One person, is brought up well. They have everything that they need. The other person's brought up and they don't have everything that they need. They don't have the education as the other person. So your intellect or your intelligence, right, is limited to what you're exposed to. So, because you're well brought up, you're well traveled, well educated, your intelligence is going to be, of course, a little higher than the person who isn't educated, who hasn't traveled the world, and who hasn't experienced life. But that's just intelligence. That's not intellect, right? Intellect is something totally different. Mick says CIA has been using subliminal messages with Project Mockingbird. Yeah, absolutely. I think they've been doing that since the 70s, if I recall that properly. But, who knows? But they do this every day, brother. It's, like, for instance, the frequency that they use for uh, the radio, our average radio, they changed that frequency back in the 1960s, and I can't recall exactly what gigahertz they played the music at. But when they played the music back in those days, prior to the mid '60s, the music didn't harm you, the vibration didn't harm you because it was in sync with you. And then they changed up the method, the delivery method, and adding this particular, lowering it down and using a different frequency to deliver this music to you. So this frequency, when we listen to the radio, it's actually doing more harm to our vibration than it is entertaining us. When I found that out, I actually stopped listening to the radio altogether because I don't want to be exposed to anything like that. So, what does manas mean? Manas is a Sanskrit term which means a sensory or processing mind, or what may also be known as the sixth sense. Manas, the sense mind, is achieved when one progress spiritually to an extent in which it gets easier to remain tranquil for longer hours. It also has the ability to sense by proximity, foresight, and extended physical consciousness. Manas is classified in two types: Kriya Siddha and Karyana Siddha. In the Yuga Sutras, the status of the mind is classified in the following five. Kshipta is a state of wakefulness when the focus is easily shifted from one object or subject to another. Vikshipta, a state when manas processes a wide range of information without the ability to focus on one object. Right, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Allow, when you go into the meditation, allow the thoughts to come in and allow the thoughts to leave. A lot of mistake a lot of people make is that they begin to fight the thoughts that are approaching them and the thoughts that are coming in their mind. They keep saying no thoughts, no thoughts, no thoughts right off the get-go. But in the beginning, when you begin your meditative state, all those thoughts are going to come rushing in because you're uploading and downloading at the same time. So allow those to come in. So that's what this is talking about. Mudha, a state when the mana is dull and not seeking new knowledge. That's like when I was saying earlier on, when I would get into a meditative state, I would go into that quiet state where there would be nothing. I would be with nothing. So, essentially the dot, and that's the state where really I didn't want anything. I just wanted to be in that state for peace of mind. Ekgarta, a state when manas is focused on one object and remains focused without getting distracted. Neruda, the state when mind is completely in control and spiritual elevation is achieved. So what that means is that when you're in that state of mind of nothing, in that nothing mind, you can manifest anything that your mind can visualize and can create. Right? That's the level of manifestation. Is that when you're in that nothingness, when all the you know thoughts are gone, when all the voices are gone, when all the visual memories and thoughts have dissipated, and you're there sitting in absolutely nothing, because everything arises from nothing. When you really look at it, atoms arrived from nothing, this universe arrived from nothing, everything arises from nothing. So when you go into that state of mind, that's when the manifestation happens. And don't focus your mind on the wants, right? Focus your thoughts on the needs of your life. What is it that you need in your life at this particular moment? Is it material things? Is it spiritual things? That's something that you have to, drive the boat on, because you're the one that's in control of your consciousness and that state of mind, that state of being where you can manifest anything that you want. So a huge The next dimension is called manas. Manas has many layers to it, but manas is not just the brain. It is right across the body. Every cell in the body has phenomenal memory, not just of this life, but of millions of years. Your body clearly remembers how your forefathers were a million years ago. Top to bottom, there is manas. This is called Manu Maya Kosha. In every cell in the body, there is a memory and intelligence, but no intellect. Intellect is only in the brain, like I was saying earlier, right? Just because one person is more educated than the other, yes, he's intelligent because he has all that information deposited in his head, but his thinking is limited to that level of intellect or that level of intelligence. Like, you don't need to tell your body to breathe. The intellect of the body is that it breathes, right? Your body has memory. It has a lot of memory. It has genetic memory. It has past life memory. It has global memory. It has a memory of everyone on this planet. It has a memory of the earth. So your body, it has in fact, your body has more memory than your brain does, right? So that's the difference between the intellect and the intelligent, right? Intelligent is a container in which it cannot surpass. The more information you give it, just the bigger the container gets, right? But the intellect is something different. And intellect is what you get when you get into the higher states of mind, right? That's where the download happens. And that's where, the hidden knowledge of the universe, people call it the Akashic records. You connect into that. And in fact, you're beyond that. In English language, everything comes under one banner called mind. The idea that intelligence is only in the brain has produced human beings whose consciousness is seriously constipated. What it is in the brain is intellect, not intelligence. Intelligence and memory are right across your body, people have never been trained how to use this intelligence. Instead, they use their intellect for everything. No wonder they are stressed. You know what I'm saying? You're stressed because you continue to battle with your brain, right? You continue to fight with your brain. And if you stop fighting with your brain, and if you stop fighting with yourself and go within, then you'll be more at peace. And when you're more at peace, then your surroundings, because I was saying earlier, the law of attraction attracts what you project, right? So how your subconscious is feeling is what is going to interact, right? The entire weight of thinking is on this one particular mind, right? Just the mindset, just the brain. I'm just going to use my brain. My brain's going to get me ahead, and that's it, right? You're not thinking. People are not thinking about the realm that cannot be seen and the realm that is nothing, but from that realm everything comes forth and manifests. And that's one of the tricks of life that I guess I'm learning myself. People may be using other dimensions of the mind marginally, unconsciously, but they're not trained to use them. They have only been trained to use their buddhi or their intellect. They're very smart. They know everything about everything, but they do not know how to figure their own life. They do not know even how to sit there peacefully and at a total ease within themselves. And now I know a lot of people who have said this to me is that, I can't meditate. I can't be alone. There's too much going through my head. I always need to have company. I always need to have someone around. I always need to have something around. They're just, never alone. People that just need to have that uh, constant company of other people because they're not comfortable with themselves, or they haven't looked in within themselves, or if they have, they're afraid of what they saw and they don't want to confront the trauma that lies in within there. So they think that I think that they're um, a little bit. Let me see. It says, I think you're on the wrong slide. Am I really? No, I was just going off, guys. Okay, so what does Ankara mean? Ankara is a Sanskrit word that describes the ego, the image a person has of himself, herself, or the conscious mind as she perceives it. The term comes from the root aham, which translates as I am, and kara, which means doing or making. A related term, asmita, is sometimes used as a synonym for ankara, but whereas the latter describes the ego, the former describes egoism or attachment to what the ego desires. Right? So that's what I was saying earlier. It's your desire is ego, ego is desire, because your desires want more, more, more. The ego wants more, more, more. The more the ego feeds into the desire feeds into the ego. And we need to separate ourselves from that, but it's easier said than done because of the way society is structured and set up. Those wants are always there, right? Sometimes those wants are needs that are always there. So it's you have to balance the ego. You can't have no ego, and you can't have all ego. There has to be a balance. Ankara can also be thought of as the yogi's sense of who he or she is. It can be either positive or negative and include self-worth, desire, thoughts, and personality. Now, this just doesn't go for a yogi or a mystic. This goes for everyone, every single person out there. The sense of identity is the intellect directly connects with the third dimension of your mind called Ankara. Ankara is sometimes translated as ego, but it is much more than that. Ankara gives you a sense of identity. Once your Ankara takes on an identity, your intellect functions only in that context. It is important to function beyond the intellect because the intellect is seriously enslaved to your identity. So what that means is, like, when you give yourself an identity, right? Like, I'm a manager, or I am a drywaller, or I am a lawyer, or identities like that. I'm an asexual, or I'm a bisexual, or I'm a c-sexual, whatever. It is that you're trying to, you know, tie yourself in with that identity that you're trying to create. You have to remember that that identity is a container. And what you're doing is you're taking all possibilities, the infinite consciousness that you are, and transferring it into a container and limiting it. Can't do that, right? You're not a plumber, or you're not a drywaller, or you're not a lawyer, or you're not a rocket scientist. That is something that you do. That is something that you practice because you're a point of attention or an expression of the infinite consciousness. Everything that there ever was, ever is, ever will be. All possibilities. That's where the parallel universes and all that comes in. But again, that's totally something different. But that's what you are. So when a person says, I'm a plumber, and I have 5 kids, and a wife that I love, and I love to play baseball, right? Those are the things that you do, right? That's not who you are, right? So next time, ask somebody that that you meet, say, hey, tell me about yourself, and then they'll give you identities instead of telling you on who they are, right? You're a person that has children, but that's not who you are. You're a guy that likes to play baseball, but that's not who you are. Our identities, such as belonging to a certain nation, community, or whatever else, are necessary for our survival in a particular society. But you cannot think beyond this because you are functioning only from your intellect, and the intellect takes its sustenance from Ankara. Only along the axis of Ankara the intellect can function. The intellect cannot transcend this because that is its nature. But there are other ways to know life beyond the identities we have taken on for our survival in the world. And survival in the world, like, I mean, I'm a plumber, that's a survival thing. I play baseball, that's a survival thing, because you're trying to get in with a certain crowd or a certain group of people. That's again, It's an identity that everyone creates for themselves, but you don't have to live in within that container. You can still have that container but not live in within it, and to understand that it is a container and that that container is at your mercy, that you're the captain of that container, and what goes in it and what comes out is up to you. So, in Hindu and yogic philosophy, the attachment of Ankara is one of the five kleshas or obstacles described in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. To reach a state of samadhi or enlightenment, the kleshas must be removed. Because it is an illusion colored by the yogi's perception, Ankara prevents the yogi from achieving union with the higher self. Yeah, I like that. Just say I am. That's what I say. What I just said earlier when somebody asks me who I am. So now the five kleshas are the avidya, asmita, raga, davisha, and abhinvisha. Now let's explore that a little bit. Avidya is ignorance on ignorance, but it can also be translated as lack of insight. It's the source of most clashes, which is why it's one of the most important clashes that we need to face. It's when, for example, we view anything temporary as something eternal. We think our negative emotions will last forever, but in truth they will not. In other words, we don't see its true nature. We aren't able to see the temporary nature of negative emotions, and we cannot see the true nature of ourselves. So, hence why I began Watcher's Talk, right? The Watcher's Talk was really about enlightening the self and lifting self awareness and lifting ignorance from the self to understand the reality which was beyond me, that I wanted to interact with. So the only way to interact with that reality was to create Watcher's Talk, because Watcher's Talk is a program which brings you information to raise your self awareness, and then when you raise your self awareness, you raise ignorance. Right, you raise that from yourself, so you just become that much more aware of yourself and your surrounding, and that's very important in order to raise your own spiritual vibration and your own spiritual mind into a higher state of being, so that you're having the human experience which you designed for yourself to have, and not have to fight this rat race that we're constantly involved in. Wake up in the morning, eat have some breakfast, fight the traffic, get to work, be worried about getting fired because you're going to be late getting to work because you're fighting the traffic, and then have a sandwich for the lunch, fight the traffic coming home. You wish you can get home so you can watch the news, and then you're getting stressed out about that, thinking that it's just going to last forever. You come home, you eat, you watch TV, you go to sleep, you wake up, you do that all over again. That's not reality, guys. That's false reality, and that's the dogfight that we're involved in, and that's the dogfight that we're trying to raise ourselves out of. Right? That's the ignorance that we're trying to raise from ourselves. That's the avidya that we're trying to raise from ourselves. Because once we learn the power of our mind and how our mind functions and how consciousness functions, we don't need to be involved in this rat race. We don't need to be involved in this fight. This stab everybody in the back, cut everybody's grass, and step on people's toes. It doesn't need to be like that, because you create the reality. You tap into that form of consciousness where you get the need that you need for your survival and for you to survive on this world. You'll get a home, you'll get food, you get clothes on your back, you'll get education. You just, it's a perception of the mind. What you create with your mind, and it's what manifests. So I just paying attention to the comments here, guys. King of Kings is saying maybe LOL. Suppose it depends on who is asking you. Yeah, I guess so, eh? Okay, so asmita is egoism. Asmita is when we believe that there is a self that's separate from everything around us. It puts the ego on a pedestal and values earthly material possessions more than anything else. All that matters is how I perceive something or how it affects me. So the world becomes about I, me, and I'm sure we know a lot of people that are like that are just obsessed with material possessions. They brag about what they own. It's okay to be happy about what you've achieved in life, when it comes to materialism, but then worshiping it and spending your entire existence in pursuit of something that's just going to remain, to me is it's nonsensical. And I'm sure we know a lot of people that are like that, and I'm sure there is instances within our own selves that that express this as meta, where we take our own stuff and form ego around it. I have no doubt, I know I do. And that's something that needs to be fought and overcome, right? Not perfect people, right? That's why we're here, because we're trying to learn and become better for ourselves and for our families and for our communities. Now, raga attachments is the attachment to our desire. That's what I was talking about earlier, desires and needs. It's when we assume that our happiness all this depends on external factors. We're worried that our external sources of happiness will disappear or be taken away, so we cling to them and become attached. Strong attachments create insecurity, anxiety, and fear because you have a lot more to protect. Right, that's why it creates that insecurity, right? It's the, like I was saying, don't waste your life in pursuit of material things. Spend your life in pursuit of internal things, so that you learn something while you're here. Because things don't make people happy, things just stress people out. If you have three cars, you got to put insurance on those three cars. You got to put gas in those three cars. If you own two houses, you got to pay mortgage on those two houses, or you got to upkeep those two houses. If you own 50 pairs of shoes, you got to have somewhere to store them. And then you're afraid that somebody's going to steal them. You have too much money. You feel that somebody's going to kill you and take your money. And you don't even trust your own family at that time. And it's been proven time and time again that, if you're super rich, your family will kill you so that they can get the inheritance. Or, it just goes on and on and on and on. I'm sure you guys understand. You're a pretty smart crowd out there. So the less we own, the less we have, the less anxieties and insecurities and fears that we will have. If you just have the maintenance of what you need, then you won't have the anxiety, you won't have the insecurity, and you won't have the fear. So the divisha is an aversion. Divisha is avoiding things that causes unhappiness. It's based on the presumption that external things are the ones causing afflictive emotions, pains, and suffering. We'll do anything to avoid them, anything that threatens the ego. We avoid them when strong desires control us. We develop strong aversions when those desires aren't filled. Those are two sides of the same coin. They rely on each other, when in reality, it's all happening on the inside. Right? You create your own fears, you create your own pain and suffering within yourself, because you know the mind is only thinking, the thinking only on one level, because it can't get beyond that, right? And you think that this is going to last forever. It's going to last forever. No. Okay, we need to get away from that. King of Kings came with nothing, I will leave with nothing. You can't take it away with you. Yeah, absolutely. That's true words. Wisdom, words of wisdom, this one. Me too. This is really good one. Rob. There you are. Welcome, Rob. Full Spectrum Universe in the house. That's nice. Nice to have you here, brother. Go on over and subscribe to Rob's channel. He's got some wonderful things happening. Tonight was a double header. Started off with Eleanor Bain, with quantum consciousness, and then we came to this one. Really cool stuff. So fear and anxiety. Abin Visha is a fear of anxiety that will lose our attachment to life. Deep down, we know that the only thing constant in life is change. Yet, it's one of the most common fears, especially the fear of death. We fear death because we're afraid that we'll lose all the material things we have in the world. The fear arises because we are facing something we can't control. So, that is especially true with with a lot of people, that the fear of death is omnipresent. It's always there. People really dictate their lives around that. Some people even dwell on the fear of death, and I suppose that's I wouldn't say logical, but each to their own, I guess, if they want to live in that fear. But obviously they don't understand what death is and what they are as in true nature. Because if a person understood what they are as their true nature, then the fear of death just wouldn't even be there, because they understand that all death is that a point of attention has been put somewhere else. The focus has changed. That's all. You exist eternally. You exist within the infinite stream of consciousness, and you interact with it indefinitely forever, because that's what you are. And then when you want to manifest as a physical being to take a vacation from just being nothing, then you take this form, or you take an animal form, or you take a tree form, or you become an alien form that we call aliens. You become something, and you have that experience, that physical experience, for the time being, and then that's it. The experience is over, and you gain a lot of memory. You recall a lot of memories. Like I've always said, that we come here for a 5 cents vacation, because in our natural form we can't get drunk, we can't have sex, we can't smoke weed, we can't taste food, we can't smell the flowers, we can't go swimming. We don't have those sensations. It's just a memory, right? It's just reminiscing. So I would consider yourself reminiscing your last vacation. um, you know can you go swimming? It's only in your mind, the memory, right? So I'm sure that you'd love to relive that memory and go back and feel that water on you, or smell that barbecue, or drink that beer that night. But you're reminiscing in your mind, and you're trying to remember. And that's what consciousness is. It's it's just remembering itself. And when it takes this form via yourself, then it's physically remembering what it was like, or what it's like to be in that particular form. It doesn't necessarily have to be a human form. Like I said, it could be an animal, or it can be a tree, or it can be anything. I'll do another workshop here, and it's called well, I haven't come up with a name for it yet, but it's animal meditation. It's a different form of meditation, where I take you on a guide, and then we go into a safe spot, and then you become the animal that is your favorite, or the animal that first comes to you, and you become that animal in your subconscious mind, and you interact with that particular animal, and you harness that animal's energy and incorporate it within yourself, to have that pure love energy within yourself, that unobstructed consciousness of the animal kingdom, that you can make part of you. So that's very interesting. I'll do a workshop on that. Maybe I'll lead a meditation for members, and do a test run on that. So what does Sita mean? Sita is a Sanskrit word meaning consciousness, and is derived from the root word sit, meaning to perceive. It is all that is perceived and all that can be perceived. Consciousness is the space that holds all perceivable things. Sita may also be thought of as a spirit. In the Yuga Sutras, Patanjali defines Yuga as Yuga Sita Vritti Nirodha, which means that yoga makes all misconceptions and distractions of thoughts disappear. The fourth category of the mind is called chitta. Chitta is mind without memory, pure intelligence. This intelligence is like the cosmic intelligence. Simply, there's everything happens because of that. It does not function out of memory. It simply functions in a way that you can call cosmos is a living mind, not in the sense of intellect, but in the sense of chitta. Chitta is the last point of the mind. It connects to the basis of creation within you. It connects you with your consciousness. Chitta is always on. Whether you are awake or asleep, your intellect comes on and goes off. Many times it fails. Even when you are awake, if chitta or the intelligence within you was not always on, you could not stay alive. Try to conduct your breath with your intellect. You will go crazy. Chitta is keeping you alive, keeping you going, making life happen. If you touch this dimension of your mind, which is the linking point to one's consciousness, you do not even have to wish for anything. You do not have to dream of anything. The best possible thing that can happen to you will anyways happen. It's like I was saying, what you need will happen for you. Your desires is a totally different thing, but connected to ego. But once you get beyond that point, when you've detached yourself from identity and from ego, then whatever you want, you can manifest that, because that is the power of the mind. When people touch this dimension of the mind, it's called Ishvara. Prindhana in yoga. This means God becomes your slave. He works for you. Yogis say Shiva is my servant. He does everything for me in a way, otherwise I would not be here. Once you know how to consciously access your chitta, everything that is needed will simply happen in the best possible way. If you go by your intellect or your buddhi, today you think this is it, tomorrow morning you think that is it, like this, it goes on endlessly. You guys know exactly what I mean. Let me jump into the comments here real quick, guys, and see what's going on. Consciousness of the other animals, as in non-human, what we call animals. I feel we do not value and respect other animals as we should. You're absolutely correct, Boom Shanka. Welcome. Those are correct words. We don't value them. Look what we do to them on a daily basis across the entire planet. It's just not a cool thing, and we need to snap out of that. The actions of others inflict us as well. So when there's others out there that are committing mass murder on animals, and that consciousness, that vibration is affecting us as well. So we need to be aware of that and fight that as well by increasing our awareness and by increasing our distortion and our vibrational torus. Once you know how to consciously keep your chitta on, once the divine is your servant, when someone really efficient is working for you, you do not have to do anything. So like when you go into that dot state of mind, that fourth level where you're separate and everything is separate, things will happen for you. Just simply sit. The best things will happen, things that you could not imagine. People always think if their dreams come true, their life will be great. I think that is a very poor life, because you cannot dream about anything that is not all in your experience. My wish and my blessing for you is things that you could not dream of, things that you never thought possible must happen to you. What you did not dream must happen to you. That is why you should not dream. Instead of seeing how to delve deeper into yourself, you go on projecting ideas into the world. People think that is a great thing to do. Chit Shakti is about touching the dimension of your mind that is pure intelligence, unsullied by memory, unsullied by identification. It is beyond Ankara. It is beyond buddhi. It is beyond judgment, beyond divisions. Simply there, just like the intelligence of existence that makes everything happen. If you access this, you do not have to worry about what happens or what does not happen. It will happen in a way that you never imagined possible, because it will happen in a way that best suits you, best suits your state of consciousness and your needs and within your state of consciousness. And as your consciousness increases, your needs increase or your needs decrease, and consciousness is well aware of that, and those things will be provided for you. But you just have to move beyond that identity of I this and I that, I am this, I am that. You just simply I am. That is just it. I am. Once you have access to your chitta, it is almost a multi-pointed telescope. It makes you see things that no one else can see in every direction. It is your crystal ball. It is a magnifying glass that brings the very core of life close to you. For everyone else, it is far away. Everyone thinks the divine is somewhere up there, where exactly no one knows. All they know is it seems far away, but they don't realize that the divine is within themselves. Everything is internal. Right? Whatever is internal will express itself externally. So the divine is within you. You are the expression of the God consciousness, the Christ consciousness, whatever that you want to call it, the intelligent consciousness, cosmic consciousness. There's so many titles and labels that we've given it that it doesn't really matter, because we all know who we are or what we're talking about. The moment you start looking at life through your chitta, where there is no memory, there is no karmic substance and no division, suddenly the divine is right there, bang on, in your face all the time. You cannot miss it. The idea of Chit Shakti is not to keep asking for things. You just don't keep asking for things, because when you're asking for things, you're entertaining the ego, you're entertaining the desire, because you continue to ask for things. You just simply have to pay no mind to it, pay no attention to it, go into the nothing form, go into the center omniverse of yourself, and just be nothing, because from that nothing, everything else comes forth. Everything manifests from that nothing energy. The idea is that if the physical arrangements of life happen easily, you can dedicate more time for your spiritual well-being. The main intention is that your physical life happens more easily, that it does not take your entire time to handle, so that you will have time to close your eyes and sit. Please make use of it for this purpose, because that's what this is all about. It's not for desires. It's not for what you want. It's not for any of that. It's just simply to go in within and explore within, because the more you explore within, the more you'll see externally, the more your eyes will see, because our eyes have just a particular perceptual range where we can only see in so many colors. But then comes our fish eye, comes our inner eye that can perceive things and see things and detect things that we simply can't. And that's the subconscious, that's the conscious mind working for you at that point. And when you don't have the desires or the wants, then everything just manifests and pours out of you. All right. So we're at the workshop now, and this is practicing the Om mantra. Right. So we're going to learn what the Om mantra is and how we can benefit from this. Now, I would have liked to have done the Aboriginal one, but unfortunately, I can't chant like that. Same with the Aborigine. I can't chant like that. I wish I could, and I'm going to try my best to learn so that I can. And maybe in the future I can share that with you. But the Om mantra is pretty universal, and everyone is quite familiar with this mantra. And we'll listen to it here again in just a couple of slides. So the Om mantra is a widely recognized mantra. While the Om mantra has a variety of meanings, one of its most significant uses is for meditation and contemplation in yoga and Vedanta. The Om mantra is recommended in the Yoga Sutras and the Manduyuka Upanishads, as well as many other teachings. When used in this way, the Om mantra has 4 major levels, meaning and experience to the person. Waking first is the waking state represented by the sound of A of the Om mantra, called Vishvanara. Okay, so waking. First is the waking state represented by the sound of A of the Om mantra, called Vishvanara. That is the Second is dreaming. It is the dreaming state represented by the sound of U of the Om mantra called Taijasa. So the U is represented for dreaming, which is Aum. The third is deep sleep. It is the deep sleep state represented by the sound of M of the Om mantra called Prajna. So that is deep sleep. Third is the deep sleep state represented by the sound of M of the Om mantra called Prajna, which is Om. The fourth is Triya. Fourth is the entire domain of that consciousness that permeates all of the other levels within which awareness does its dance called Turiya. Literally, the fourth represented by the silence after the Om, the A, U, and the M. So the silence in between the two Oms is the Turiya, the fourth domain of that consciousness. Because you don't go right? There's a space in between. That space is the space of contemplation. That is the space of connecting with the higher consciousness of yourself. Between these four states of consciousness, there are three transition stages called Unmani, Aladani, and Samadhi. Umani means no mind, beyond the mind, or thoughtless. In yogic philosophy, it is a state of transition between two states of consciousness, waking and dreaming. In Unmani, the person is neither fully awake nor asleep. It can also be thought of as the transition between conscious and unconscious thought patterns. Unmani is not a state of meditation which requires an awakened state. So that's what I was saying earlier, is that when I went into a state of meditation and I lost sensation with my body, that's kind of what it's meaning, is that where you're in that between world and between the two layers of those dimensions and you're trying to, get into that next dimension. Aladani is the name given to the transition stage between dreaming and the deep sleep states of consciousness. It is not a state that is ordinarily experienced consciously, but instead is very subtle. It is important because it is the state in which latent and formless impressions began to emerge before they take form in the unconscious mind. In Aldani, the images that will ultimately become dream sequences are born. This is where you allow your imagination to just go. When you're in that state of mind, you're connected to the higher consciousness. So you're going to see other forms of things happening, consciousness happening within yourself. Remember, the four parts are one after the other. Thus, in the use of the Om mantra, there are four levels of awareness that the person wants to cultivate. You have to remember the four parts of the Om mantra internally, one after the other, through the levels of consciousness. And that's what I was saying earlier. You can begin by looking at the symbol of the Om. And then once you've trained yourself, then you can internally begin to remember what the Om means. And when you're going through your Om, you can take yourself through those stages to reach a higher level of awareness. With practice, it gradually becomes easier for one to maintain awareness of these meanings as attention moves through the parts of the Om. Over time, that awareness brings increasing insight of the true nature of these levels of consciousness. Eventually, one moves to the direct experience of the absolute reality, that consciousness which permeates all silence after A, U, and the This is a state of self-realization. This is the state where you go into that you've been looking for. the escape that you're achieving, that you're looking for. You go into this state and you contemplate and you self realize and you figure out what's important to you and what's not, what you're going to take with you and what you're going to leave behind. Remember, when you leave energy behind as well, right? Either that person was an asshole or that person was really cool, right? Or really loved that person. So you're leaving behind an energy, an impression of yourself like a symbol, right? Because that symbol is connected to an energy. One of the profound insights that one begins to get is the way in which the levels of personal consciousness, the stage of mental process, and the level of the universe parallel to one another. One comes to see that these three are functioning at the same level of reality, which are none other than the levels of consciousness themselves. So the A, the U, and the M is all happening in the same level of this dimension, in the same conscious mind. Waking conscious, gross, dreaming unconscious, subtle, deep sleep, subconscious, casual. Turiya, consciousness itself permeating and being all silence of the Om mantra. So the A, the U, and the M. So the A represents waking, conscious, and the gross. The dreaming, the U, is expressed as dreaming, unconscious, and subtle. And the M is expressed as deep sleep, subconscious, and the casual prajna. And then the silence after the Om is called Turiya, consciousness itself permeating and being all silence. That's where you connect with your consciousness, is in that silence, in the nothing, because it's from nothing everything arises. When awareness is on the A of the Om, you cultivate and train yourself to have a simultaneous awareness of the waking state, the conscious level of mental processing, and the gross realm of the universe. Waking consciousness and gross are all at the same level, symbolized by A of the Om. So when you go into the meditative state, when you begin to breathe, when you begin to Om, that you have all those thoughts coming to you. As I was saying earlier, allow those thoughts to come and allow those thoughts to go. Do not fight those thoughts, because the more you fight them, the more time and the energy you're going to spend fighting those thoughts, because at the end, it's a losing fight because you're just fighting yourself. So just allow those thoughts to come and go. Right? The mind is processing all this information because it's trying to get into the next level of consciousness. But before it gets to that next level, it needs to shed certain amount of information and data so that the mind is clear when you go into the next state. When awareness is on M of the Om, you cultivate and train yourself to have simultaneous awarenesses of the deep sleep state, the subconscious, latent, dormant, inactive storage aspects of mind, the samskaras from where the impetus of karma or action springs forth, and the casual realm out of which arises the subtle and gross universe. Deep sleep, subconscious, and casual are all at the same level, symbolized by M of the Om. This is when after the next state that you go into after the thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. Actually, let me come and check the comments here real fast and see what's going on here. Owls. Matthew M says owls. Boom Shanka McDaily, I believe this too. And focus on the internal, like we said before. Yeah, exactly, Rob. Everything is about the internal, is within the self. Everything is within the self. You need to contemplate within the self in order for the self to express itself externally. Oh. When awareness is on the silence, after the A, the U, and the M of the Om, you cultivate and train yourself to have an awareness of the consciousness that permeates all of the three personal levels: waking, dreaming, deep sleep. that permeates all of the subtle realm and that also permeates all of the causal realm. Consciousness permeates is the foundation of, and in fact is, the whole of the levels of the A, the U, and the M levels of the Om. So when you're in the third stage, like in the last stage of the Om, it's a lot to take in. Yeah, I know, brother. That's why it's available for replay. Just let me know if I need to slow down. Right, so when you get into that deep and that silence is the dot on the symbol, right? There's a dot in the crescent, right? The fourth level. That's where we want to be at. Here, let's listen to that again. See, guys, the more we listen to the Om, the more we can train ourselves, because it's all psychological, right? He's on the A. Now the M. Point of contemplation. All right. Hopefully this this information helps you and to attain better self-spiritual stuff, Here's a good comment from King of Kings. Don't worry about taking everything in at once. The more you watch these shows, the more and different things you will pick up. There are different levels of knowledge throughout. All will come together. Exactly, brother. Exactly. Little tidbits of pieces. It's like connecting the dots. You pick up a piece of information here. You pick up a piece of information there. Later on, you see, oh, that connects, and then you make the connection. One of the other insights is the way in which our own personality, mental, and emotional processes operate. Latent impressions begin to stir. We come to see in direct experience of yoga meditation and contemplation how it is that there are latent impressions in the deep unconscious, the place of the deep sleep, the M of the Om, and how it is that consciousness drifts over these latent impressions, causing them to stir from the causal level of level M of the Om. These impressions arise into internal action. Then we see the way these impressions then arise into action internally in the unconscious, the active unconscious associated with unseen mental processes and the dreaming sleep level. U of Om, forming many invisible thought processes normally only experienced in dreams. This is similar to what psychology calls primary process. That's what the Aboriginals call it, the dream state. I call it daydreaming. When I meditate, I go into that state of mind. These stirrings come forward into the conscious. Then we see the intriguing way in which those stirring in the unconscious you of the come forward into the conscious waking state of reality a of the along with the way in which the five senses of smelling, tasting, seeing, touching, and hearing and means of expression come into play so as to relate to external world a of the so you feel the entire world with all of your senses. We come to see how the four functions of mind interact within these levels A, U, and M of including manas, sensory motor mind, chitta, storehouse of impressions, amkara, me maker or ego, and buddhi, which knows, decides, judges, and discriminates. Seeing all the levels permeated by consciousness, most importantly, we come to see the way in which all of the levels are both permeated by and are the manifestations of consciousness itself. In waking state A, there is consciousness. In dreaming state U, there is consciousness. In deep sleep M, there is consciousness. In active thinking, A, there is consciousness. In unconscious process, U, there is consciousness. In the latent storehouse, M, there is consciousness. We come to see that we really are in the consciousness itself, not the forms which arise, we declare with conviction. What the sages have said all along, I am not my thoughts, I am that I am. Is like parts of a river. When recalling these levels of A, U, M, and silence during practice of the Om mantra, it's useful to remember the metaphor of a river which has three parts. Bed. The riverbed of stone, like the latent subconscious or deep sleep level and its impressions symbolized by the M. Flow. The flowing part, like the active unconscious or dreaming level, symbolized by the U, and surface. The surface of the river, like the conscious waking level, symbolized by the A of Om. The reality or presence of existence itself that is in the three levels of the beds of the river, flow of the river, and surface of the river, is like the consciousness that permeates the three levels of waking, A, dreaming, U, and deep sleep, M. Those three levels are also the consciousness, A, active unconsciousness, U, and latent unconsciousness or subconscious, M, as well as the gross, which is the A, subtle, which is the U, and the casual, which is the M level of reality. Our subconscious wants, wishes, desires, attractions, and aversions are like those stones that form the bed of the river of M. When consciousness moves across them, they come to life in the flow of the unconscious you, like the flow of the river. And conscious. Some burst forth into the conscious mind, represented by A, resulting in action, speech, and conscious thoughts, the actions on the surface of the river. Going beyond the three levels through practice, one gradually attains the ability to be beyond or deeper than the various levels and thinking process of to the direct experience of the source of the consciousness symbolized by the silence after the A, the U, the M of the Om mantra. And that is, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you guys coming in here this evening and checking this out. So hopefully this information helps you. And if you guys have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. I had a lot of fun putting this presentation together. Here is the link to the studio if anybody wants to come in, have a conversation, or have any questions. I'd be more than happy to answer them. There was a question on here, Keith Baker. How loud do you need to do it? You don't need to do it loud, or you can just do it in your mind, in fact, because your mind is louder than your vocal cords. So it really, depends on yourself and your lung power, brother. That's it'll just come naturally. Like a lot of people are saying in here, it'll just come naturally to you. It depends all on your breath, right? What do we got here? Then Keith, however you want, I would imagine, yeah, as you're breathing, as your breath, it will happen naturally. Yeah, absolutely. When you're humming or when you're making a chant like that, or when you're, engaged in that type of breathing, then and especially with the vocals, then your body, your avatar will just configure itself. Crown Chakra, thank you, Omar. I enjoyed the live stream. Glad I was able to watch. Thank you for being here, Crown Chakra. Nice to see you around here. Thank you very much. Buddy Namaste to you all. Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. McDaily, thank you very much. Really appreciate it, brother. Right on. Keith Baker, Boom Shanka, Omar. Yep, thank you very much, guys. And again, please subscribe to Watchers Talk and hit that bell, hit the notifications. I'll be doing a lot more streams like these in the coming days. I wanted to share with you guys last week, but of course I got the 7-day ban, so I couldn't really do much. But again, they gave me some time to do some back end and put together a few presentations. So I have a few for you already in the works, and I've got a couple already made. So keep an eye out for the space over the next couple of days, and also on Full Spectrum Universe. We collaborate a lot together, and so keep an eye on that channel as well. Right, subscribe, hit that bell, so that you'll be notified when when he's sharing knowledge. By he, I mean Rob Yox. And so thank you guys, and I really appreciate it. And thank you for all the love. And please share this information with friends and family who you think will benefit from this information, who like to or people that have tattoos of OMs and they have an interest in it. Please share this with them, as this information is for everyone. And with the before I close out, just want to remind you guys again that YouTube has given us the option of members, and that actually is a very good thing for Watchers Talk. As you guys know, we have very low video count, view counts, because of the fact that we share information, conscious-based information like this, and they've got us shadow banned. So they give us this option of having members, and with your membership, that really helps out the channel, and it really gives me more options to reach out to other speakers and higher caliber speakers who want to get paid for their time and their presentation. And if I have the funding, which you guys will help me raise, then it's really good for the whole community. Everyone learns from it, and what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? One for all for one. So I would really appreciate if you guys can sign up for that. If not, no worries. I still appreciate your support. Just subscribe and just keep an eye out on Watchers Talk, and also my good buddy Rob Yox at Full Spectrum Universe. So this was a double header tonight. We started off with Eleanor Bain talking about quantum consciousness. That was beautiful. It really led right into what I talked about. So thank you, Eleanor, for your time here this evening. Really appreciate it. And hopefully I can pick your mind the next time. So guys, be safe, be well, and raise your consciousness. Be the seed of consciousness in your community, within your house, and within your state, your country, your province, because you are the light that needs to shine in this world in order for us to get out of the darkness that we're in. Love you all. My name is Omar. I'm a host here at Watchers Talk, coming at you guys from the West Coast, British Columbia, Canada. Be safe. Love you all. See you next time. Keep an eye out on the community posts. I'll be posting stuff in there, and also I'll be doing like 1 minute, 2 minute short videos for my shorts. So, I'm going to drop a little bit of knowledge bombs there. So check that out. Love you guys. See you next time.